Have you ever been captivated by the beauty of the flame of the forest? It's a kind of tree that are usually with yellow colored flowers. I know I have been. But do you know that they bloom differently depending on where they are on the earth? Dear friends, welcome to Fully Alive with Irene. Many years ago, I remember my parish priest told us this story about the flame of the forest. So he said the difference, just the difference on where they are in comparison, in relative to where the equator line is, makes such a big difference. As we know, the equator line is an imaginary line where most of the climate, the weather is very much stable the closer you are to the equator line. So in our city here, we live, it's about 660 plus kilometers away from the equator line. And the other city that he compares to was about 120 kilometers away from the equator line, so much closer to it. And he said that the flame of the forest that blooms in our city is brighter, it's more dramatic, it's more beautiful in color as compared to the one from the other city. And he said he linked it to a way that when it is closer to the equator, everything is way more stable. It's predictable, every year is pretty much the same. There's not much of a seasonal difference. But if you're further, the seasonal difference is more obvious. And further up, of course, or further down, you can see it even more obviously with the seasons that comes about. And the difference that it makes is that when there are some dry season and some wet season, the trees work very differently. When they don't have enough, they work harder to conserve, When they have enough, they bloom beautifully. And that's what adversity does to them, to the trees. When they have to work harder, they really bloom more beautifully. And I believe this is very similar to our life. When we have adversity, those are the opportunities for us to grow. It is uncomfortable, it disturbs us. Nobody likes it, right? Who would like adversity? Of course, I want my life to be smooth sailing, If I can choose, if I get to do whatever I like, I won't want the sickness. I would want things to be as smooth sailing as possible. However, there is place in our life for us to grow, for us to be resilient. And I can give you an example of my little girl. I breastfed her until she was 3 years old. And we have to stop because I was having a flare. I wasn't feeling that well anymore. I don't have the strength to do that. So we agreed to stop. And I can see for 1 year, she was still doing okay. And then a year later, I started seeing her getting sick very often, just a little bit of exposure, she got sick. And it's been like 3 months continuous, I think. She got sick once, twice, and the 3 times. And every single time, what I witness in her is that every single time she rises better. She recovered faster. She dealt with it much stronger, much better. So that sickness, the adversity, actually helped her body to grow stronger, to be able to fight disease better. And I remember my TCM physician also said that it's okay, don't be afraid of sickness, once in a while, a cold, cough. It's actually good for your body to retrain itself to fight diseases and to strengthen our body immune system. So seeing my daughter, helping her to get through it. Yes, sometimes it's not easy, for the mother to see that, but I really see how she overcomes and she gets stronger, gets better. And this adversity, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be a good thing for us to teach us about resilience, to teach us about persistence, perseverance, and most importantly, it is an opportunity for us to choose. While we can choose to despair, why me? Why me? Why am I sick? That kind. Or I can choose to, hey, there's something more to this in this season. I can choose to rise above that and to choose to be fully alive, even with a chronic illness. So dear friends, What adversity are you facing in this season of your life? And I pray that you choose to rise higher.